It's Thursday Q&A time, and in this one we're talking about how to build your list. So let's jump right in. Hello you wonderful small business owners. In this video it is our Q&A session on a Thursday, so we are being asked how do I build my list, and I have deliberately kept this to being list and not email list because a lot of businesses aren't just doing everything online. I know that a lot of the young YouTubers and everything would love to think that everything was e-commerce, but it's not. And so a lot of people are selling services locally, selling services business to business, running account-based marketing type businesses. And so we have a list, and whether that is traditional or digital, it doesn't really matter. The question is, how do I build a good list? And then I guess the question then is, well, how do you define what good is? And I guess my thing is, well, quality of people who are interested in your product and services and who are potentially or are keen to buy them. And so we're going to start off with lots of backstories. I could, but actually every single one is the same. My first suggestion is do not buy data. Do not ever buy data. We used to buy data in the olden days. It was rubbish then. And so I have decided to prove the point. I went and bought a list. Yes, I did something which I always advise everybody else not to do. And the reason for that is because I thought, well, let's have a go and see what happens. So we bought a list. It was about 1,300 records of local businesses within the area. 3 months later, we are still whittling that list down. We've got it down to 981 records. And I've had one person doing quite a considerable amount of work and another person also helping with the data. And I can tell you now categorically, the experiment has proven that you should never buy data. Absolutely. And from a very reputable provider and for, decent money, we have done the test, and the answer is don't do it ever again. We're talking about businesses that merge, so we've been cleaning out ourselves, merged more than 2 or 3. I think one was 5 years ago with somebody else. 3 of the records on there had actually merged into one company. This is all on Companies House. It's all up there for data, and so obviously, I've fully complained to the data company, and that will be resolved. But the point is, I proved my point. Do not ever buy data. You are better off spending £60 a month on LinkedIn, the professional package, and trawling LinkedIn by hand, or finding somebody else to trawl it for you with a set of profiles in order to build your list. I'm afraid that the days of just buying a list, sending out a whole load of information and selling things is more than dead. And so the question then is, how do I build a good list? And so that is one of the things. I know somebody who over decades has walked the streets of Oxford, West London, and all sorts of places here in the UK, and has literally written down the house name or number and street of houses that have particular characteristics. And he provides services to those houses. I was then involved in a whole bunch of leaflet distribution work for him, where those houses would be ticked off manually as each leaflet was put through the door. And you skip 5 houses, there's one with the right characteristics, we'll put a leaflet through that door. So very precision list, built beautifully over multiple years of simply driving around and then walking around and making that list. Obviously that is hugely time consuming. Most people don't have time for that. So you could trawl the internet, you could trawl directories, you could trawl LinkedIn, and in all honesty, I think these things are actually, although they feel at the beginning like this is ridiculous, there has to be a better way. I think that actually it's still got merit, it's still got real value. So I think the other thing that we've been doing recently is I've been spending some time with some clients at some exhibitions, and I really think that that was valuable. So the first exhibition, I believe, is probably more valuable than the second, but we met with people who were absolutely the right people in the right job role at the right companies for a few £1,000s. You're there talking to senior people in the right businesses. So that I think is hugely worthwhile. I think that exhibitions come with a massive, and I could do a whole separate video on exhibitions, on some of the good things and bad things, and the way they've changed, I think, in the years. But I think that's a really good way. Obviously, most people think of how do I build my list as an email list, and they're thinking, you know, what can I do to build my list? And of course, I think the key thing here is quality, quality, quality over quantity, quantity, quantity. So there are lots of tips and things you can do, and you can provide, you know, freebies and downloads and just good advice, and say, join our newsletter, follow us on this, get involved in that, sign up for this free PDF, access this free webinar, sign up to my webinar. So run a webinar, and, you know, obviously the people sign up, they provide their email name, email address and business and all of those things. You can promote those things on things like Eventbrite, you know, other such marketplaces. So you can get people in that way, and you can have a conversation with them. You can do Q&A with them afterwards. So one of the things is you could also run a Facebook group, and you can run weekly Q&As and stuff in there. And then of course people can sort of raise their hand and say, well, how do we get a little bit more engaged? You could actually do some direct advertising. You could use Facebook ads, you could use LinkedIn ads, to get hold of people, provide them with some kind of value. You could provide them with a free consultancy session, or whatever your business is. But there is lots of things. Basically, the main thing here is that you are targeting the right people in the right way, with the right message, the right value proposition, so that they are then engaging, and then you're providing value, value, value all the way through. So they are absolutely thinking, wow, I need to be close to this person. I need to know what they know. I need to absorb what they know. So you get them on their list. You could even, so what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sending out another direct mail to the right list, and I am going to be inviting them to an event. I'm going to be inviting them to a weekly marketing mastermind group, and or something like that. I haven't fully defined it yet. I think the key thing is I'm going to go out networking. I'm going to suggest that as an idea. I'm going to test the idea, iterative development, innovation, and then once I've got that nailed down, I'll then start contacting people about putting together some kind of weekly event. And of course, what I'm hoping is that some of those people then decide, well, actually, Adam, this is fantastic. I wouldn't mind some consultancy, and so we build up the consultancy business that way. So, and the last thing I think is, you know, obviously if they've bought a product, if you're e-commerce and they've bought something, they're on your list, making sure you're GDPR compliant, making sure you've got them to say, yes, I'm happy to be on your marketing list or newsletter list. Segment your list. So if they suddenly decide they don't want to be on your marketing list, they can still be on your newsletter list, right? So you haven't lost them completely. So sort your GDPR out, separate out your list. Don't just say, or everybody's all the same, and then they're a customer, but you're not allowed to email them in Europe or whatever, because they've said, don't contact me ever again, because you've spammed them with a whole bunch of promo emails. So I think the last point is, once you have people into that list, ask for referrals. Who else could benefit from this information? Who else would want to be part of this community or whatever you're doing? And do not spam them with useless junk and just, hey, we hired a new person in our warehouse or whatever it is. You're always thinking customer centric. What value am I providing? And I think then people will want to be in your ecosystem, in your sphere of influence, and they will be attracted to you. So that's what I think people should be doing to build a list. But the question is, what do you think? Please do put any comments, questions and thoughts down in the comments below. And of course, I would be failing in my mission if I didn't ask you to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and help us grow this content for as many people as possible. This is where I'm hoping to grow my list. So take care, and we'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much.